Imagine launching a rocket into space. The planning, the preparation, and the execution must all be perfect. This is how many founders approach managing their startups. They spend years tinkering with their plans, obsessing over every detail, and only launching when they think everything is perfect. But what if I told you that managing a startup is more like driving a Jeep across unstable and shifting terrain? Startups are different from established companies. They have no past, they don't know what their customers want, and they don't know which approaches are best for finding customers or creating a sustainable business. To succeed, they must stay flexible and constantly change direction. This is why startups need to be managed differently. In this video, we'll explore the unique challenges of managing a startup and provide valuable insights into how to manage them effectively from the book The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. Chapter 1. Sarah had a great idea for a startup. She wanted to create an app that would help people find local farmers markets in their area. Sarah was convinced that her app would be a hit, and she couldn't wait to get started. Sarah spent weeks creating a detailed plan for her startup. She made sure to cover every aspect of the business, from the app design to the marketing strategy. She was confident that she had thought of everything, and she was ready to launch her app. However, when Sarah finally launched her app, she was surprised to find that no one was interested. She had spent so much time and energy on creating the perfect product, but she had forgotten the most important thing: a sustainable business model. Sarah realized that she needed to focus on finding a way to make money with her app. She started by talking to potential customers to find out what they were willing to pay for. She also researched different revenue models, such as advertising and subscription fees. After much trial and error, Sarah finally found a business model that worked. She decided to offer a premium version of her app for a monthly subscription fee. This allowed her to generate a steady stream of revenue while still offering a free version of the app to attract new customers. Thanks to her focus on finding a sustainable business model, Sarah's startup was able to thrive. She was able to attract more and more customers, and her revenue continued to grow. Sarah realized that the most important thing for any startup is to find a way to make money while serving its customers. From that day on, Sarah made sure that every decision she made for her startup was based on the goal of finding a sustainable business model. She knew that this was the only way to ensure the long-term success of her business. And thanks to her determination and focus, Sarah's startup became a household name in the world of local farmers markets. Chapter 2. It was a bright and sunny day when James, an ambitious entrepreneur, decided to start his own business. He had a great idea for a new product and was convinced that it would be a huge success. James started by creating a detailed plan, which included everything from product design to marketing strategy. He was excited to get started and launch his product. But things didn't go as planned. James soon realized that he had missed a crucial step in the process of building a successful business: finding a sustainable business model. James knew that he needed to discover what his customers wanted and how to make money from it. He realized that he had to test his hypotheses and validate his assumptions through a scientific approach called validated learning. James started by coming up with a hypothesis that his target market would be interested in his product. To validate this hypothesis, James talked to real customers in a realistic environment. He asked them what they thought of his product and whether they would be interested in buying it. Through this process of validated learning, James discovered that his initial hypothesis was wrong. He realized that his product was not meeting the needs of his target market. He took the feedback he received from his customers and used it to improve his product. James continued to test his hypotheses and validate his assumptions until he found a sustainable business model. He discovered that his customers were interested in a different aspect of his product than he had originally thought. By shifting his focus, James was able to create a product that his customers wanted and were willing to pay for. Thanks to his focus on validated learning, James was able to create a successful business. He learned that it's not about coming up with a great plan from the start, but rather a process of constant learning and testing. By understanding what his customers wanted and how to sell it to them, James was able to find a sustainable business model. James's success story was an inspiration to many aspiring entrepreneurs. They realized that finding a sustainable business model requires a commitment to validated learning and a willingness to adapt and change. And with this new understanding, they set out to build businesses that would stand the test of time. Chapter 3. Alice had always been fascinated by technology and had a knack for creating innovative solutions. She had an idea for a product that she was convinced would be a game changer. It was a mobile app that would help people find the best deals on groceries in their area. Alice believed that it would provide tremendous value to consumers, but she needed to validate her assumptions before investing time and resources into developing the product. Alice knew that she had to test her value and growth hypotheses, so she decided to conduct some market research. She started by surveying her friends and family, asking them if they would use an app like the one she had in mind. The feedback was positive, but Alice knew that she needed more than just anecdotal evidence to validate her idea. Next, Alice decided to conduct a small-scale experiment. She created a landing page for her app and ran some Facebook ads targeting people in her area who were interested in grocery shopping. The landing page explained the benefits of the app and invited people to sign up for early access. Alice was thrilled when she received over 500 sign-ups within a few days. But Alice knew that sign-ups were just the first step. She needed to see if people would actually use the app and find it valuable. So, she recruited a small group of beta testers and launched a prototype version of the app. The beta testers provided feedback, and Alice made improvements based on their suggestions. Finally, Alice was ready to test her growth hypothesis. She launched the app in a few select cities and waited to see what would happen. She was thrilled to see that users were not only finding value in the app but were also sharing it with their friends and family. Within a few weeks, the app had gained thousands of users. Alice's leap of faith had paid off. She had validated her value and growth hypotheses and had created a product that people loved. Investors were impressed by her data-driven approach and believed in the future success of her app. Alice had proven that with a little bit of market research and a lot of hard work, anyone could find their sustainable business model. Chapter 4. Ashley had a brilliant idea for a new social media platform. She had been working on it in secret for months, pouring all her energy into designing and developing the perfect user interface, and was convinced that it would be a huge hit. One day, Ashley decided to share her idea with her friends and family to get some feedback. They all seemed impressed, but when she asked if they would use it, they were hesitant. They weren't sure if it was something they needed or if it would add value to their lives. Determined to prove them wrong, Ashley went back to the drawing board and realized that she had been so focused on creating the perfect product that she had forgotten to test the waters and see if there was even a demand for it. She knew she needed to validate her idea before investing more time and money into it. Ashley decided to create a minimal viable product, something that would give potential users a realistic experience of what her social media platform would be like. She stripped away all the unnecessary features and boiled it down to its essence, creating a simple prototype that still delivered the core value of her product. She shared her MVP with a group of beta testers, and while the response was mixed, she gained invaluable feedback that helped her refine her idea and make it more user-friendly. Ashley realized that the most important thing was not creating the perfect product, but creating a product that solved a real problem and added value to people's lives. She took her time to understand her potential customers' needs and was willing to pivot her idea when necessary. Eventually, she launched her social media platform, and to her surprise, it took off like wildfire. She had validated her idea, and now she had the confidence to invest more into her product and grow her business. In the end, Ashley learned that creating a successful business is not just about having a great idea. It's about testing that idea and validating it in the real world. By creating a minimal viable product and getting feedback from real users, she was able to take her business to the next level. Chapter 5. Sam had a brilliant idea for a new product. Sam was eager to start building it right away, but his mentor, a seasoned businessman named John, advised him to take a different approach. Before you spend all your time and money building this product, John said, you need to find out if there's a demand for it. Sam was confused. But how can I do that? He asked. By using the BML loops, John explained. You start by building a simple version of your product, like a prototype or a smoke test. Then you take it to its actual market and gather customer feedback. Finally, you learn from that feedback and use it to build an optimized product for the next BML cycle. Sam was skeptical, but John convinced him to give it a try. They started by building a simple prototype of Sam's product and taking it to a local market. They asked people to try it out and give their honest feedback. At first, the feedback was discouraging. People weren't interested in Sam's product and they didn't see the value in it. But Sam and John didn't give up. They took the feedback to heart and used it to build a new, optimized product for the next BML cycle. They tried again, this time with a more polished prototype, and the feedback was much better. People were starting to see the value in Sam's product and they were eager to learn more. But Sam and John didn't stop there. They knew that they needed to distinguish between value and waste in their product, so they started using split tests to optimize it. They created two versions of their product, one with a new feature and one without it, and tested both versions with customers to see which one was more appealing. Through trial and error, Sam and John were able to create a product that people loved. They had used the BML loops and split tests to learn what their customers wanted and what features were valuable to them. And as a result, they had created a sustainable business model that would last for years to come. Sam learned an important lesson from this experience. He learned that building a successful business wasn't just about having a great idea. It was about learning from his customers, distinguishing between value and waste, and optimizing his product to meet their needs. And so, armed with this knowledge, Sam went on to build a thriving business that would change the world. Chapter 6. Jack had a brilliant idea for a startup, and he was determined to make it a success. He believed that all he needed was an iron will and perseverance to see his idea through all the setbacks and challenges that lay ahead. Jack worked tirelessly, pouring all his energy and resources into his startup. He was convinced that his product was the best and that everyone would love it. But as time went on, Jack began to realize that his startup was not picking up as quickly as he had hoped. He was having a hard time finding customers, and those he did find were not as enthusiastic about his product as he was. Despite this setback, Jack kept pushing forward. He believed that if he worked harder and persevered, his startup would eventually succeed. But as the months went by, Jack's startup began to resemble the walking dead. Like a zombie, he was just going through the motions, unable to see that his product was not what the market wanted. One day, a wise mentor advised Jack to ask himself some tough questions. How can you improve your product? Is it time for a fundamental change of course? These questions made Jack realize that he needed to pivot his business strategy to find success. Jack held pivot meetings once a month to take an honest look at the data he had gathered and ask himself whether he needed to pivot. Eventually, Jack realized that he had to redefine the core value of his product and change his main sales channel. He needed a new engine of growth to ensure his company did not stagnate. After much contemplation, Jack decided to focus on the viral engine of growth. He introduced a new feature that made it easy for his existing customers to spread the word about his product, and soon enough, his startup began to gain momentum. As he watched his startup pick up speed, Jack realized that he had been a zombie in need of a pivot. He understood that to find the right business model for his company, he had to be willing to pivot and make fundamental changes to his strategy. And he was glad he did, for it led him down the path of success. Chapter 7. Maya had a passion for creating innovative products that would make people's lives better, and she decided to start her own company. Maya had a brilliant idea for a product and spent countless hours working on it. She was excited to launch it and see it become a success. However, she quickly realized that creating a sustainable business model was not as easy as she thought. Maya started tracking metrics to gauge the progress of her startup. She checked how many customers were signing up, how many hours she was putting into her work, and how many social media followers she had. Maya was proud of the numbers she saw, and it gave her a sense of accomplishment. But soon, Maya learned about the concept of vanity metrics. She realized that she was focusing on numbers that were flattering but not useful in measuring the success of her business. She had been looking at the wrong metrics. Maya felt lost and unsure of how to move forward. She knew she needed to examine the right metrics, but she wasn't sure which ones to focus on. One day, Maya attended a seminar on startup success, and she learned about the importance of defining the right core metrics. She discovered that every startup is different, and each one needs to find its own set of metrics to measure success. Maya started to examine her data in a new way. She discovered that the number of paying customers, the average session length per customer, and the number of recommendations generated per 1,000 customers were some of the metrics that mattered most for her startup. Maya also learned about the concept of cohort analysis. She realized that by comparing the behavior of new customers to old ones, she could see if she was advancing towards her goals. She started to examine her recommendation rate by comparing cohorts of customers who signed up at different times. She found that by doing so, she could track her progress better and make data-driven decisions. As Maya continued to analyze her metrics, she discovered new insights about her customers and her product. She was able to make changes that led to more paying customers, longer session lengths, and higher recommendation rates. In the end, Maya's startup became a huge success. She learned that defining the right metrics and continuously evaluating them is crucial for any startup. By doing so, she was able to find a sustainable business model and grow a base of customers who used her product. Finally, the insights and knowledge I gained from reading The Lean Startup were phenomenal. I highly recommend it. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and if you found value in this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more great content. Trust me, you won't regret it.